What is up, racers, and welcome to another episode of our F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 4 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If you missed our previous episode at the Monaco Grand Prix, it's your choice if you want to check it out. Quite a dismal race, honestly one of my worst races ever, just no comfort with the car, exposing all the weaknesses it had, and then resulting in our first ever DNF only after 15 laps. So not exactly an ideal race, especially when we're showing poor form, but right now we're going to keep moving forward and just leave that all in the past. And what better way than to sign a new sponsor? We are acclaim level 5 on the team, which means that we can now sign a new sponsor, which will mean that we'll have more money coming in every week. And after looking through all the choices, I decided to go with Salve because their goal to beat my rival during every race is a good one, because I mean that's what we should be aiming towards, especially because Giovinazzi is our rival right now, and we're fighting Alfa Romeo for P8 in the Constructors' Championship. So as long as we finish in front of him, then we'll at least be in the right place, in the right positions to make up the lost places we have in the championship. But anyway, we're just going to put the new stickers on the car, and I mean, there we go. It looks pretty good now. It's starting to look more like an actual Formula 1 car with more sponsors on it, which is always good to hear. And Jeff here is just reminding us that we finished with an excess of fuel. Yes, Jeff, you finished with a lot of fuel in your car when you only race 15 laps. I don't know why we keep you. Anyway, we're just planning our weekly events. We're getting a chassis equipment upgrade that will help the chassis department. We're going to get some more team acclaim and some cash for our sponsor advertisement. And in the end, I'm going to do some second driver external training because I believe that Sato does need a little bit more help, shall we say, because we can't just carry our team alone. We need some help in our fight for the Constructors' Championship. And right now we're going to help that even more by purchasing a major drag reduction upgrade, which won't be ready until well after Azerbaijan, along with a minor engine power upgrade, because I mean, you can never have too much power in your engine. But anyway, advancing the weekend, and we have a personnel department.
Your input on this one.
And as you can see, a gym is willing to provide us with new gym equipment. However, while it will increase our second driver focus, it means that we'll have to lose about $50,000 in cash. I mean, last time I checked, when someone's willing to give you something as a promotional deal, you don't have to pay for it, but we need to boost our second driver, so we're just going to accept it. Well. You know what? Firm it, we'll accept it. That's all we're going to do. Anyways, advancing the timeline now, and all our weekly events are coming in, all along with our running costs in terms of resource points and money, which is good because we can always use some more money, and it's boosted a bit by that sponsor we signed on. But as we head into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend, we've dropped behind Alfa Romeo in the performance index. So not good in our fight for P8. Thankfully, it's going to be a dry race, which is something you need around a street circuit like Azerbaijan. But practice 1 is mired with rain, which is not very good. We finished P13 though, ahead of both Alfa Romeo, so we are looking pretty good. Sato's down in P20, but in our first dry session, we actually dropped down 3 places, and both Alfa Romeos are ahead of us. So the performance index is starting to rear its ugly head right now, and we're starting to see that perhaps we don't have the advantage that we used to have in the first 3 races, which really just hurts because it's showing how we've squandered our opportunities early on in the season. Gio's in the points positions right now, but then again, practice, you can't really read too much into it. It's just kind of a basic understanding. Ricciardo and the McLarens are way ahead of us, so we've got a lot of work to do, but you know what? Let's just look ahead. Let's jump into quali. And here we are into qualifying right now, and we're already starting off on the wrong foot because we're stuck in the garage of an electrical systems fault. So all the teams are trying to fix that.
We seem to be having some software issues at the moment. Sit tight for a few minutes while we reboot some things, okay?
Alright, Jeff, I mean, it's already finished. So we're just going to advance the time. We're going to see if we can get onto the track in a period where it's not so busy. And that's around 8 minutes left in the session. So we go out on a fresh pair of soft compound tires. And we're going to be doing multiple runs around the Baku city circuit. But as we head around turn 7, we kind of clattered a wall a little bit. Not the best. And heading through turn 16 right now, we do take the turn very wide onto the curb. And we go off it. And those curbs are very high, so it is not very good. And also, I mean, the downforce is just not there right now. it was not good. I mean, we finished 1 lap. We finished in P12. I ran 2 more laps, and we weren't able to improve. But we do finish ahead of both Alfa Romeos. And Antonio Giovinazzi, our rival, is out of Q1. And Sato's all the way down at the bottom of the order. This is possibly the worst qualifying I've seen him perform in. And his low stats are really starting to show themselves right now. But here we go, into turns 5 and 6. We clattered the curb around the inside curb of turn 6. So not really helping our chances right now. And we finished P7. We dropped down to P10. We're dropping outside of the requirements we need to make into Q3. But that was on a scrubbed set of soft compound tires. So with new soft tires on, we should improve. And here we are, and we do improve because this is my best lap. So we're going to show you the whole lap in the hole. Heading around the 90-degree turn of turn 1. Now getting ready for the 90-degree turn of turn 2. And just hitting the apex beautifully. Those are 2 pretty good overtaking spots. Turn 1 especially. Down the first DRS straight towards turn 3. Another 90-degree corner. These 90-degree corners are very treacherous. You dive into it. You want to clip the apex. And you want to get as close to that wall as possible. And you have to be very cognizant of those walls. Especially when you want to overtake people. Through turn 4, kind of ride the curve a little too much, which does result in us losing a lot of time. But we go through turns 5 and 6, nailing both apexes beautifully and making up all that time again. We're about 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths ahead as we head into turn 7, heading into the old town towards the castle section, a complex of turns that requires a perfect concentration. And in all honesty, we do a pretty good job. We pretty much hit all those apexes. A little slow getting out of it, but we make up all that time again, and we're almost up to 4 tenths quicker, on the cusp of 4 tenths quicker, as we head through the rapid section to turn 15, which goes downhill. You don't want to ride that inside curve too much, as you could hit that wall on the outside with the change of elevation. Into turn 16 now. Careful not to make the same mistake we made into Q1. Great job to ride a little bit of that outside curve, but not ride it too much because it is quite bumpy. Through the tight turns of turns 18 and 19. Quite easy to... I mean, with this car, I can't exactly go flat out yet. We just don't have the downforce, so I am kind of lifting, especially into turn 19. But here we go, down the long start-finish straight. Great spot for overtaking. We cross the line, and we make it out of Q2. We're in P9. Not bad, and 6 tenths behind Max Verstappen, so quite a good result. And we finish ahead of Kimi, who finishes at the bottom. So we're in a position, like I said, in order to get into P8 in the constructors, we need to get points at this point, and we're in a very good position right now in the points positions. But turns 5 and 6, once again, not really helping us out that much, but we do pretty well. And, well, we just go for a second lap. Now on new soft compound tires because, well, I'm hoping we can do better than P10. And our entry into turns 5 and 6, not bad, but turn 6 is, I don't know what I was doing there. I rode the inside curve way too much. We do make up quite a bit of time, although it's not exactly the most graceful, shall we say. We do clatter the inside wall of turn 7, down the DRS straight. We made up about 5 tenths of a second. So pretty good lap overall, despite the little corner cut we did. But in the end, we're not only P10, we're near over 2 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, who on pole position. So while we had the pace to make into Q3 by a remarkable achievement on our part, we're very far off the pace. So, I mean, now it's just a matter of defending this position. Let's just head into the race.
Warm welcome to all of you watching at home to today's Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and a race that in its short history has already proven no stranger to drama. A 4th row start is just about as likely to give you a podium as a pole position would. And remember, in 2017 and 2018, both Lance Stroll and then Sergio Perez took surprise podiums here. The Baku city circuit measures roughly 6 kilometers and is made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS zones. The circuit winds around the narrow city, through the old town, and even brushes against the city's medieval walls. However, as beautiful as the setting is, this track is also a ferocious technical challenge, where the smallest of mistakes could lead to catastrophic consequences for all of our drivers. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Leclerc, Gasly, the engineer and Sebastian Vettel, Tsunoda, Bottas, they've taken a grid penalty, Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Mick Schumacher, Russell, Mazepin, Latifi and Marino Sato. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, we get promoted 1 grid spot. So now we're on a position, if we hold this position, we'll get 2 championship points with Valtteri Bottas' penalty. So even in the game, Bottas can't catch a break, as he's already had to take an engine penalty at this point in the season. But we'll get into the pit stop strategy. We're going to go for the 2-stop instead of softs to 2 sets of medium tires, because I just think the hard tires are not worth running around Baku. But here we go, in a great position for points. We got to make the most of it and put the taboos of the previous 3 races behind us. It's lights out and away we go. And for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, go down the inside. Not a great start on our part. A lot of wheels, but we dive down the inside. We make contact with the rear of Gasly. Look at, thankfully, no damage. We do get a warning for collision of Gasly, but we managed to pass Leclerc into P8. Sainz and Gasly through turn 2 are side by side fighting each other. No DRS, but the slipstream is still there, and the slipstream is very powerful on Baku. As we get behind Gasly, Gasly is in closer to Sainz in the slipstream. We're going to dive into turn 3. Early, wait on the brakes, and we squeeze Gasly out, but keep it fair. And we're up at the P7. What an amazing lap for us, considering how poor a start we have. As you can see, we move to the inside. Not very good. We don't make it many places off the start. We make contact with the rear of Gasly, but somehow, like I mentioned earlier, no damage. As you go, it doesn't look like we actually make contact from the wing cam, but as you see, no chunks of our front wing are out. Look at Charles Leclerc, who sees all the action as we dive past him, and he loses 2 spots in the process to Tsunoda, but we make a great move around Gasly. Look at that. As you can see, Gasly gives us the space to race with, and no contact made. And in fact, Gasly loses 2 spots again, this time to Leclerc. So our moves are really starting to impact the rest of the field. But as we head through the fast turn complexes of turn 18, 19, we lift off because we're very close to the wall. So much understeer in the car, and Leclerc in the faster Ferrari is starting to poke his nose and see if we can get by him. We're deploying a lot of ERS, trying to stay alive on the start-finish straight with that slipstream. But Gasly is now starting to get in on the party.
He'll be on the mediums.
As we try to dive into turn 1, Leclerc dives in the inside. We have to take a wider line, and yet we somehow manage to hold it. Here's the replay from Charlotte's perspective. You can see how close we get to the wall, and look at the overspeed that Ferrari has. The Ferrari in 2021 is actually a decent car, which means that it has a lot more downforce than we do. And keep in mind, we're lower in performance index in this race than we've been in the last 3. So our performance compared to the rest of the field is definitely on show here, showing how weak our car is in reality, especially around a circuit like Azerbaijan, which is kind of like a mix of a city circuit with downforce, but at the same time we need quite a bit of power, especially down the straight. As you head into lap 2, Leclerc once again pokes his nose. We managed to deploy some ERS to stay ahead, but Leclerc is still along the side. We can't exactly cut in front of him on the inside, because if we do, we'll clip him and we'll probably take ourselves out of this race. We dive into the inside, slam the door on the corner, and that's a great defensive move by us. But now, onto lap 3, DRS is activated, and Leclerc, he doesn't even need DRS. He's so much closer this time. We're deploying a lot of ERS. We're down into the 40% range. But Leclerc, now with DRS, they managed to pass us with ease. We're trying to stay in the slipstream. Our pit window is open as we're going to box for our first set of medium tires. But Leclerc, we cannot unable to get him around turn 1. But now onto the first DRS straight. Now we have the DRS. Let's see what we can do on Leclerc as we're closing in. The slipstream is so powerful, as I mentioned before. Leclerc tries to defend the inside. We're going to dive down the outside into turn 3. But we go off the brakes too early. We have to brake hard. We hit the wall. No damage again. We're being really lucky with the lack of damage. I'm sure we have some, but it's nothing collateral, as you can see here. Just a tiny chunk, but I don't know why I went off the brakes so late into it. I should have stayed on the brakes. I would have at least attempted to make the corner. and now Tsunoda is all up our backside. We let him pass us because, I mean, we're going to be pitting this lap anyway, so there's no point fighting for position.
He might make a mistake.
We're just going to give it up anyway. As we enter the pit lane around Azerbaijan, quite a twisty pit lane, quite dangerous, especially considering at the high speeds we're going. We're entering the pit lane now, and because this is so early on in the race, everyone's passing by us, but hopefully we'll be able to undercut the cars ahead of us, and that way we'll be able to make up track position, because the undercut around Baku is actually pretty decent, and the tire wear is so high, and everyone on softs will be feeling it. Quite a slow pit stop from the boys. Not exactly, I mean, keep in mind, our first pit stop this season was like a 1.8, 1.9 seconds, so we know our pit crew is capable of more. So we're down in last place. But, I mean, that's to be expected. But we're going to go back a lap as Lando Norris in P3 is fighting Sergio Perez for P2. Look at this, diving down the outside of turn 1. We're getting a great run on the start-finish of the slipstream. And he manages to hold it despite clattering a bit of the outside curb. And Lando Norris is in P2, his highest position, I think, to date. I mean, he's finished P3 on the podium, he's running P2 sometimes, but that was an amazing move by Lando, showing that the McLaren is actually quite a good car, decent package that could possibly be challenging the front runners, which is great. But anyway, as you can see, our undercut worked. We've undercut Gasly and Leclerc, the two drivers ahead of us. So great move by our part. But Ricciardo and Mazepin into turn 15 are fighting. Ricciardo hits the wall and he shoves Mazepin away. Mazepin has to catch it. We pass Mazepin on the outside of turn 15. We're going to dive into turn 16, see if we can take Ricciardo. We clatter the curb. Thankfully, no underbody damage, but we somehow managed to do it. It was an illegal move, I'll admit, but we were carrying so much speed because Ricciardo's hit clattered with the wall. But like Lando's pace showed on the start-finish straight, Ricciardo is now all over us. Now Leclerc is getting in on the party. It's going to be 3 wide down the start-finish straight. You can see the red proximity arrows as the two drivers try to side us up. Ricciardo with DRS is able to pass us. Leclerc a little slower. Mazepin is starting to get in on the party. We can't let Mazepin pass us, not again. And we managed to squeeze Leclerc out, and we maintain the position, but we lose it to Ricciardo. But let's look at that replay. As you can see here, Ricciardo down the inside, and Mazepin kind of goes a little wide, although he has the inside line. And so he's kind of partly to blame. Thankfully, Ricciardo, as you can see from his wing cam, just a tiny nibble, smaller nibble than the damage on our front wing. But now Ricciardo is being held up by the slow cars of Nicholas Latifi and Carlos Sainz. So we're able to catch up to him again on the next lap through turn 16 now. Now we're going to get a good run. We're going a little wide again, which does kind of compromise it a little bit. But as you can see, Sainz is alongside Latifi through turn 18 and 19. You don't see cars go side by side there. We clattered the wall a little too aggressively because I'm too busy watching this battle ahead of us.
Careful with the front wing. You've taken some minor damage.
And there goes to show that our front wing has actually been compromised. Oh, look at it, there's 3 wide down the start finish. Latifi tries to defend the inside. Ricciardo manages to smooth past Sainz and Latifi. We dive on the inside. We make contact with Carlos Sainz in a Ferrari. We thankfully no damage again. But that, like, I was distracted. We dive on the inside of Carlos Sainz now, clatter a bit of the inside curve, and we open the DRS. Sainz is still ahead of us, but we're very close to. We're deploying ERS. Sainz defends the inside down to start finish straight. The DRS is stuck.
Rear wing
Go
is stuck open.
bin.
We need you to pit in so we can try to repair it. Pit in
Great.
for repairs.
That's great. We make the move past Sainz, but that DRS fault is gonna not play into our favor. But look at this, 3 wide down inside. Look at Ricciardo. He just weaves in past Latifi, Sainz, and now past Latifi. As you can see, we dive down a little too quickly. But as you can see, Carlos Sainz with the DRS and us down, we dive down the outside. But while Carlos's rear wing is closed, ours is stuck open, which is a huge problem because while we will gain advantages on the straights, those tight 90-degree corners are going to be very hard. Tons of understeer because rather than the air flowing over the car and pressing us into the ground, it'll just be going. There won't be any downforce. So we need the pit to see if our pit crew can try and close the rear wing automatically, which will force us onto a set of hard compound tires. Not exactly what I wanted, considering how I said that the hard compound is not a good tire around Baku. But, unfortunately, we're in this position anyway. And we have to replace our front wing, so our pit stop is made longer now. So our race has been completely destroyed. Chances of points are probably off the table now. That being said, it is only lap 9, so there is a lot of time to make up as the rear wing does close. Unfortunately, the DRS problem is not resolved at this point, which means that it won't be opening. But that's okay, we're way too far out of DRS range to Russell. As we lose the back end, as you can see, like I said, the hard tires, the are cold right now, no grip, and there's nothing we can really do. Doesn't seem like... I'm going to check and see whether our...
No tire concerns at the moment. Just focus on the driving.
Great, Jeff. I was asking about our rear wing and DRS, not about the tires. I know the tires are cold. You don't need to tell us that. Anyway, down to start finish straight now. Schumacher pits, but we're so far behind that he still manages to finish ahead of us. Bit of a timing glitch there, but nothing more you can say there. Yes, so now it's a fight back, but thankfully we have quite a few laps that we can use to our advantage in order to gain back places. Fernando Alonso is out of the session in the Alpine, as you can see on lap 12, as he's going through turn 2, leading the pack of cars that is holding up some very fast cars actually, and Alonso just pulls off to the side. As you can see, he's going slow, so there must be an engine issue, and there you go, smoke billowing out of that Renault power unit, and quite a dangerous spot to actually DNF. As you can see, cars behind are weaving around him as he goes back onto the racing line. I don't know exactly why he decided to do that, and he just pulls off into the escape road, as he should, because that car is definitely a safety hazard, and Fernando Alonso, who has been pretty quiet this season, probably won't like this another problem for him.
What a joke! What a joke!
Yep, not a very happy Fernando. Thankfully his radio messages are still entertaining. Anyway, now Mazepin pits, and we've made up some positions. We passed our teammate, who Jeff will tell us at this point.
Some information on Sato. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
Yes, so Sato has an issue with his car, which might explain the qualifying gap to us. And the fact that he's so far down the orders. We dive into turn 1 a little too wide, and that forces Gasly and Leclerc to pass us. So these drivers, you've been battling them all race as Gasly clatters the inside curve, and he forces us wide. We make contact. Hopefully there's no damage. I don't feel any damage. He's going to DRS and ERS. He passed the AlphaTauri with ease now. But Leclerc, now another... We've been fighting this driver, this guy, all race. So this isn't really helping. Let's look at the replays. You can see Gasly, I don't know what he's doing. He's moving under braking. He squeezes us, although we're clearly going around his outside. We clearly have some overspeed. I don't know what Gasly's doing, and he just clatters us and inside curve, and he takes a chip out of our front wing. Gasly, Gasly, listen, man, I like you in real life, but you can't be doing stuff like that. Stop. Anyway, now we're closing up to Charles Leclerc, but Gasly on those medium tires are much faster than we are. We're going to squeeze him out, show him what it feels like. We're deploying tons of ERS. We're down into the 20% range right now. So there's nothing more we can do. Gasly is closing up on the inside, and with DRS, it's a done deal, I think, at this point. We're going to try and dive down the inside. We make contact with the back of Gasly again, twice now. Thankfully, no damage again, and we get another warning for collision of Gasly.
Overtakes. That was very risky. We could have received a penalty.
Right, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for telling me that. You know, I'm just trying to get points, you know. But look up ahead on the start finish straight. Yellow flags, and Yuki Tsunoda is out of the session.
It looks like the problem is terminal.
That is kind of concerning. As you can see, it's an engine problem as well, down to start finish straight. Quite another dangerous place to have an engine blow up, and that's concerning considering that we also share the same power unit as the AlphaTauri.
That is impossible, this car.
Yuki, calm down, okay? We'll improve for the next.
Yeah, so Yuki Tsunoda, not very happy boy. I mean, he did do a decent job. He's been doing a decent job in the AlphaTauri so far, I believe. But it's mostly disappointing. And again, like I mentioned before, if the Honda power unit is having reliability issues, as you might have remembered, Max Verstappen DNF'd from the Spanish Grand Prix. Sergio Perez. No. Was it Perez? No, I can't remember Perez's DNF yet. But that's 2 Honda power unit cars, Honda powered cars who have DNF'd in the last few races. So that is a little concerning for us, considering that things can go very wrong. But as you can see, Raikkonen up ahead is being held up by a train of cars. This is good. As long as we finish ahead of the Alfa Romeos, it's a good race for us. So here we go, DRS and ERS, down the first DRS straight. We're going to see if we can make a move on Raikkonen with 3 laps left in this race. We dive down, way far down. Great move on the inside, no contact. Beautiful move. That's possibly the best move I've made on this game so far. Look how far back we go. We dive down, hit the apex, and no contact. That being said, Raikkonen does give us the space. But he probably wasn't even expecting that dive bomb. Look at the speed we have. Suddenly we're in his mirrors. Let's hear what Raikkonen had to say. That's right, speechless. That being said, it is sad that he's retiring in real life. Anyway, we dived on the inside of Ocon. It was a bit of a desperate move. I was riding a bit of a high after the Kimi Raikkonen overtake. We're still kind of alongside Ocon. As he headed to turn 7, this is the last chance we'll have to overtake him before we hit the castle section, which then we'll have to cede the position we do. Because I kind of felt bad about squeezing him into the wall earlier. So, anyway, now we're in P14, and I believe that Giovinazzi is further up the road. So we have got to make up these places right now, if we hope to at least a chance, perhaps, to finish ahead of Alpha. But Raikkonen is barreling down the start-finish straight. We've got to stay ahead with opening the DRS and the ERS. We're down into the 10% range, below 10%. As Ocon defends the inside. We're diving down the outside on Esteban Ocon. We close the door on him to the corner. That's a great move by us into P13. So this comeback drive is starting to come together again. That being said, I doubt we'll finish in P9 like we did. But here we are with Giovinazzi. We're in the DRS range, about 8/10 behind him. But we're on the penultimate lap, heading on to the final lap of the race. We have only a few chances left to overtake the Alfa Romeo. So here we go, on the open DRS. Keep in mind, our sponsor goal, we have to beat Gio if we want to get some extra cash. So this is more than just constructors. This is money on the line as well. Diving into turn 2, trying to close the gap to Giovinazzi. Here we are with DRS now. Very little ERS. We're going to deploy it all because this is the last lap. We have to get past Giovinazzi. As we are, we're closing up. We're going to see, could we dive down the inside like we did Kimi? No, I think better of it because I think by the time I would have gotten to the position, Gio would have closed the door, unfortunately. And that pretty much wraps up this race in my... Here we go. Lewis Hamilton wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, winning from pole position. Opening DRS now. Very little ERS left, 1%, and Gio just finishes ahead of us. So there's nothing we can do. We finish outside the points again and behind the Alfa Romeos. So again, while this is quite a disappointing race in terms of our fight with Alfa for the Constructors' Championship and for our main sponsor goal, at least we finished the race. So, small victories to be had.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So in the end, Lewis Hamilton wins again. Mercedes 1-3 with Valtteri Bottas coming back from, I believe it was P12 to P3. And Lando Norris gets his best ever finish in Formula 1 with a P2. That is an amazing result for the McLaren driver and for the McLaren team, considering that Daniel Ricciardo finished in P6. But in the end, not a great drive from us, honestly. I mean, that being said, the DRS fault did kind of ruin our race. And we did put up a decent fight against the Alfa Romeo, stuck right in between them. And Gio, great drive from him in all respect, making up 5 places. Pretty good job. But Sato finishes in P20, so while he does improve, you got to keep in mind that Sato, the only 2 drivers he passed were DNF drivers. So while we did have that problem, it is disappointing, and it's starting to show the weaknesses of us having signed the Japanese driver, because he's just not helping us in our Constructors' Championship fight. I feel like I have to do everything by myself. And in case of a reliability hampers us, he needs to be there to pick up the pieces and help support us. That being said, we do pass him in the driver's standings. So again, small victories to be had, but yet again, we're still in behind Alfa Romeo and P9, which means that in order to finish ahead, we need points. So in the end, not great. Reliability did ruin our race, but considering we put up a fight to Alfa Romeo and finished the race and had some good overtakes, I'd say we have somewhat redeemed ourselves in Baku. But now we've got to look ahead, because next up is the Canadian Grand Prix, a fan favorite track and possibly one of my best circuits. And let's see if this Toyota TF110 can do the business. But that's this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today around the streets of Baku. Like, share, and subscribe. Share the video, share the love, and keep track of our journey as we take Toyota to Constructors' Championship glory. I'm the ISO Racer. Stay tuned, guys, and remember, life's a marathon, not a sprint, and make sure you're always in a position to win it all. Take care, guys. Peace out.